The former publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, allegedly helped arrange that payment. He has also testified before the grand jury. This wasn't only the hush money payment, the only hush money payment, I should note. Michael Cohen also says there was a similar arrangement to pay off former Playboy model Karen McDougal, who says she had an affair with Trump. And there's a tape of that conversation with Trump as well. Listen to this.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
I'll pay for cash.
No. I got it.
Gosh, we forgot about that one.
That's a tape from Michael Cohen recording his client at the time when they were still on good terms. The question is this morning is if prosecutors do decide to indict Trump, how strong is their case? To bring us their perspective, we have CNN's senior legal analyst, Ellie Honig, who says prosecutors are facing an uphill battle, and former Watergate prosecutor Nick Ackerman, who sees it differently. He sees straightforward wrongdoing by the former president. You think, I want to start with you because you have a different opinion than what we've heard kind of overwhelmingly, which is that you actually think that it is a strong case against Trump.
Well, it's a strong case if you include the overall theme of falsifying records. That is, if you go with the same thing that Letitia James went through with the Attorney General's office.
In the Trump organization.
Right, in the Trump organization. That the entire organization is it's a panoply, a potpourri of criminal activity with false financial statements every year, where they increase the values of property in order to get more money from the government on the taxes, where they gave environmental gifts to the government. They committed bank fraud by increasing the values of various assets in the Trump organization. Donald Trump took the Fifth Amendment over 400 times when he was questioned by the Attorney General. Now, that can't be used in the criminal case.
Yeah, separate one we should
Right,
have.
but in a civil case, you would do that with every single criminal act that you have, because you can use an adverse inference in a civil case. So if you sit back and say, well, what is the prosecutor doing with that? There have got to be at least 5 or 6 items in there that can be charged against Trump and put together in a pattern to show the complete activity of how that organization and how Donald Trump ran it by falsifying the records. And certainly the Stormy Daniels situation fits right into that. It's part of the pattern.
And Stormy Daniels testifying, at least appearing before the grand jury, day before yesterday, I believe, via Zoom. But you guys disagree because, and correct me if I'm wrong, on the strength of this case because of Michael Cohen's credibility or lack thereof credibility, which you guys believe?
That's one of the main points. I mean, let's be clear. This is not a criminal case about the overvaluation, undervaluation of assets. That's the civil case. There's no indication that that's what the DA is looking for. All of our reporting, all the public indications are that this criminal case is focused only on the payment of hush money. And I see a lot of problems with that case. First of all, the conduct is ancient. This happened 6.5 years ago. That is an eternity.
But he was in office. He was in office.
Before he was in office, when he was running for office.
When he was running for office, and then he was in office, so he had some protection.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And 2.5 years have lapsed since then. But it's hard to make that case to a jury to care about something that happened when Barack Obama was president. When kids who are in college right now were in middle school. That's a long time ago. Michael Cohen is the central witness here. Michael Cohen, look, I know him personally. I happen to like him. I respect him. But let's be clear. He's going to get ripped apart on the witness stand. This is a man who is a convicted perjurer. He's convicted of committing financial fraud, tax fraud. He's a man who Nick's former office, my former office, the Southern District of New York, rejected him because they said he's not credible enough to testify.
Can I just push back on something you said? Because you're saying it happened such a long time ago. Is that, really, is that viable? It's like there should be a statute of limitations on wrongdoing when it comes to...
There is a statute of limitations, and it's within the statute of limitations. And the wrongdoing isn't just paying off a film star. It's also setting up the phony records in the Trump organization so they file false tax returns. It's a matter of not just a campaign violation, but it's also a violation of New York State federal criminal tax.
Juries care about this stuff, though. If a case feels like it's dredged up from the distant past, that will work against prosecutors. It will feel less urgent, and it will, frankly, feed the defense that this is just something that was pulled up for political reasons.
And that's what Trump has been saying all along. And the New York Times is reporting today on how they are preparing to go on attack mode. I don't think they really know any other mode, but they're preparing a database of basically people who have argued there is not a strong case here. And so if this does happen, because it seems like we are heading in that direction, I think it's important to be realistic about what's going to happen on the other side of an indictment.
Yes, but we don't know what that indictment is going to be. We're all just speculating.
Or if there's going to be an indictment.
Or if there's going to be an indictment. But clearly, there's been a joint investigation between the DA's office and the AG's office. The press has completely overlooked the fact that some of these items could be joined, just like Fani Willis is doing in Georgia, and turn it into a criminal RICO case.
I don't think we've overlooked that, but what about the other witnesses here? Because there is the Karen McDougal of it all. Does that help with this, or is it not directly enough tied to it?
What helps is actually that tape. The real question with Michael Cohen is not whether you like the guy, whether he's a good guy. When you go to the jury, the question is, was he telling you the truth? And what you're going to look at is the other evidence, which are going to be the documents in this case, with Donald Trump signing his name to checks that were provided to Michael Cohen. You got the phoning up of all the records that relate to this supposedly being for legal purposes and legal services when it was not. You've got other witnesses who are probably going to come in from the Trump organization to testify about how this was set up and how it was out of the ordinary. The question only with Michael Cohen is, can you corroborate what he's saying? I had a witness in a criminal case. He admitted to 12 murders. I convicted people based on his testimony.
Every witness has some
right,
credibility
everyone.
issues. You're cross, sir.
About Michael. Here's the thing with Michael Cohen. He is corroborated to an extent. There's no question these payments were made. We've all seen the checks. There's no question they falsified the documents. But the key question here is, can you tie Donald Trump to the falsification of those documents? As far as we know, the only person who's going to do that is Michael Cohen. Let's again be straight on Michael Cohen here. The man lied to Congress under oath. The man lied to the media many times under oath. He lied to the Federal Election Commission under oath. Michael Cohen said to the FEC before he flipped. He said there was nothing illegal about these payments. He said that, again, in a way he could be punished under oath to the FEC. He has lied to virtually everybody.
He said yesterday to me, I'm not lying about this, and there are other people who are going in. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No,
there are other witnesses who were with Trump and who may know about this, who have all been interviewed by Bragg's office.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm having the same issue that you're having this morning.
Contagious.
I've got to ask you, as I was speaking to sources about this in the last days and yesterday, they said, this is not just about the hush money payment. This is about exposure to Donald Trump in other areas. What will happen with Bragg's office is that people will learn about Donald Trump's business. This will lead to other things. I don't know if it'll lead to other investigations, but they are surprised at this point, the concern about what is coming out of this, what the witnesses are telling them, and what these prosecutors and others are learning about Donald Trump's
Well, look
business.
at this tape that we just played at the beginning of this. I mean, that puts Donald Trump right in the middle of this whole plot to essentially set up a situation with the National Enquirer to catch and kill every woman who is going to come across the pike and basically talk about Donald Trump before the election.
Yeah, and we have to go, but can I make an important point here, which is that when Trump was in office and I was covering the White House, he denied knowing about the payment. He said to reporters, you have to ask Michael Cohen. Rudy Giuliani later went on Fox News and admitted Trump reimbursed Michael Cohen for this payment. Trump obviously does not easily part with ways with his money, and I think that's such an important part here.
But didn't the attorney, the one who's representing him, or at least speaking for him on television, I know people don't like to be called, as I find out, TV attorneys. I thought it was a compliment, but apparently someone took issue with saying that. But didn't he admit sort of that Donald Trump knew about it?
Right.
And that in this interview on another network, and in a sense lied about it because he did not want to break the agreement.
Yeah, Caitlin's right. That's a good piece of evidence for the prosecution. The fact that on Air Force One, Donald Trump denied he knew about it. We know he knew about it. The response that we've heard from Joe Tacopina, the lawyer, is he felt like he was bound by this non-disclosure agreement. And I think the better answer there is he denied making this payment for the same reason he made the payment in the first place. He was trying to avoid personal embarrassment to him and his family.